Peace, and welcome to another episode of the Quranic Remedies, where we spend about 15 minutes exploring a page from the Quran together and seeing how we can apply the verses to our lives. And hopefully, with God's permission, it helps us heal our brain, body, mind, and soul. So today we'll be reading from chapter 2, the cow, from verses 275 to 281. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan rajim. I seek refuge to God from the accursed devil. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful. الذين يأكلون الربا لا يقومون إلا كما يقوم الذي يتخبطه الشيطان من المس ذلك بأنهم قالوا إنما البيع مثل الربا وأحل الله البيع وحرم الربا فمن جاءه موعظة من ربه فانتهى فله ما سلف وأمره إلى الله ومن عاد فأولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. Those who swallow usury will not rise except as someone driven mad by Satan's touch. That is because they say commerce is like usury. But God has permitted commerce and has forbidden usury. Whoever, on receiving advice from his Lord, refrains, may keep his past earnings, and his case rests with God. But whoever resumes, these are the dwellers of the fire, wherein they will abide forever. يَمْحَقُ اللَّهُ الرِّبَى وَيُرْبِي الصَّدَقَاتِ وَاللَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلُّ كَفَّارٍ أَثِيمٍ. God condemns usury, and he blesses charities. God does not love any sinful ingrate. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Those who believe and do good deeds and pray regularly and give charity, they will have their reward with their Lord. They will have no fear nor shall they grieve. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وذروا ما بقي من الربا إن كنتم مؤمنين. O you have believed, fear God and forgo what remains of usury if you are believers. فإن لم تفعلوا فآذنوا بحرب من الله ورسوله وإن تبتم فلكم رؤوس أموالكم لا تظلمون ولا تظلمون. If you do not, then take notice of a war by God and His Messenger. But if you repent, you may keep your capital, neither wronging nor being wronged. وإن كان ذو عسرة فنظرة إلى ميسرة وإن تصدقوا خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. But if he is in hardship, then determine until a time of ease. But to remit it as charity is better for you if you only knew. واتقوا يوما ترجعون فيه إلى الله ثم توفى كل نفس ما كسبت وهم لا يظلمون. And guard yourselves against the day when you will be returned to God. Then each soul will be returned fully for what it has earned, and they will not be wronged. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. God the Great said the truth. These verses are very specific in nature in regards to what God is forbidding. God is forbidding us the right to eat usury because it is not a right. Unfortunately, in this day and age, interest, and specifically compounded interest, which God clarifies later in a different verse, I believe in chapter 3, interest in general is designed in a way to keep the person who is borrowing money oppressed. Now, some people who do collect interest, they say, well, this is just like a trade. I gave him my money for a little bit and then I'm getting it back a little bit more because I'm trading the time that he had it. But the difference is if I come to you in a trade and I buy some stuff and the stuff loses, or if we become partners in a business and I buy some material or a stock in a company and that stock loses its value, I also lose my money. So in business, there's you profiting and there's you losing, whoever your partners are. Now, when it comes down to borrowing money, I should be able to pay you back a set amount that we have agreed upon, instead of having it compounded constantly, whether it's annual, whether it's monthly, whether it's daily or weekly. Because if any incident occurs where I am no longer able to provide myself, this debt can incur more and more where I would never be able to pay it out. I would be under your shackles for the rest of my life, and I would never be able to escape, because you would technically say that there is an agreement between us where you have to keep constantly paying me. Now, God here clearly forbids you eating usury, eating interest. If you are in a position where you're forced to pay interest, especially in this day and age, God didn't say that it's forbidden upon you because you are the one who's being oppressed. But if you can avoid helping the people who do cause this corruption in the land, I would highly recommend to do so. Yes, in this day and age, it's very difficult for us to avoid these concepts like usury and interest. But there are some concepts in the West where you do open a savings account where the bank is paying you an interest. This is completely forbidden. You should forego these kind of money. You should not sign up for such accounts, nor should you be able to collect such things, because you are going to cause a war between you and God. Now, it doesn't stop with just compounded interest. Making money from money without actually having any product being changed, it's technically, or a service being rendered, is technically a form of riba. So for me, the way that I understand this, and this is a personal take, which I can use these verses to prove it, is that I believe that trading of foreign exchange, like the foreign exchange market, I do believe that this is a form of usury, where you're just trading currency for one currency in such a short term period that your original currency starts to inflate for absolutely nothing other than going to somebody else's pain or other people's problems where their currency is getting broken or their currency is ongoing, occurring some things where it technically is inflating your currency. You're making money off money, and I don't think that's permissible. But I also understand that people have their ways of saying that that is actually trade because the commodity here is the currency itself. But that's just money. That's like me trading gold for your gold, and then I take my gold back, but now I have more gold. Because technically this money is attached to a central bank that is running off interest and inflation. And the reason why these exchange rates changes is purely because of the conditions of the economy. But if I take whatever currency I have now and I trade it for gold, I should have that same amount somewhere else. But that's not always the case. So it's not pegged to anything of value, but rather it's pegged to what society wants it to be. So it's not something fair, especially when the world is run by corruptors. They can change the currencies to wherever or however they want. So for example, you have currencies like in the Gulf, they're pegged to the US dollars. So some currencies start to drop really bad because of problems in the economy of the United States, like the Egyptian pound or the Turkish lira pound. But when you go to Saudi Arabia or Qatar, they're pegged to the same value. So their economies don't suffer. So it's not something built on intrinsic value. It's just built to help certain people and built to oppress other people. So the whole concept of our currency now is built on what God is forbidding us to do, which is this form of interest and form of usury. Now God states that those that are consuming interest, their mind is so corrupt, it's literally as if those people that are trying to become upright, but Satan is beating them from everything, from every corner. So they keep having these negative thoughts and these weird doubts, and this guy could be an agent, and these weird paranoias, because they themselves are not able to be upright because they keep listening to what the devil keeps feeding them. This concept is very clear in the Quran, that there's some individuals that are not able to become upright because they keep listening to these doubts and these inclinations that the devil keeps giving them, and they think that this is guidance, but yet all they're doing is actually damning themselves. Now when it comes down to the concept of usury, God is condemning it. God is saying that he will not, like if I give you $1,000 and through usury it became $1,100, it's not going to also expand with God. As if I'm helping this person with his loan. No, I'm actually oppressing this person. There are ways to generate loans or to make loans where you, as a person, you provided a service of giving money, and you, let's assume, bought a car for somebody who doesn't have the money, and you sold the car back to him with installments at a fair share of you with a margin. So you are profiting off the actual trade of the car. You just bought it on his behalf and you're selling it to him using installments. This is a trade. This is normal. Where does it become a problem? If this person is now lacking some payments because of some issues that he's having, and me at that point, and I start to increase his debt, saying because he's incurring interest because of his late payments, this is where it becomes oppressive, because now the agreement is changed, one, and two, he might fall into a problem where there is no exit, and whatever equity he bought into the car, I can take the car back and I don't have to give him his money. And this is something that often happens in North America, where people go buy mortgages or get mortgages for their houses, and their interest makes it so that they've paid for 5-6 years, and the only thing they paid technically was the interest. They've not even built any equity in the house, but they've paid all this money to the banks or to the mortgage lender. And then they start to fail in some payments due to any unforeseen circumstances. And then they end up getting foreclosed, and their houses is taken away from them, and they get nothing from what they paid. Same thing is happening with car loans. This is something that's extremely oppressive, and it's not something that is correct. So this is why God is telling us, for our society to flourish, that we have to remove this. So God is telling us the best way is charity. If someone is in need, if someone is in help, needs help, or someone needs some money to progress, there is a fair way to do it. But if someone is in a position to give that money for that person to increase, then that's the best part. Because I truly believe that anyone who's dealing with interest or loan sharking or things of that nature, he's more concerned for the worldly life. He just wants to benefit in the worldly life. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to, he's not looking for his hereafter. If I get an opportunity, if I have a person, if I'm an affluent person with a lot of money and I get an opportunity to help people out, I would do that. I wouldn't stop at any cost. Because at this point, I'm building for my hereafter, and I'm already in a comfortable position where I have my house, I have my car, I'm able to pay for whatever I need to pay for me, the family, and the people that I'm taking care of. But if I have this extra funds where somebody needs help, I should go ahead and invest in that person. And the way that I invest it is by giving it as charity. Oh, you need a car? I have the ability to buy you a car? Here's a car. Because I'll get my reward in the day of judgment. Obviously, it depends on how affluent the person is. Oh, you're buying a house and you need a loan. I can loan you the money and we can make it so fair that you can pay me back in a way we're both happy. And you don't need to sit and feel stressed because I'm a believer in God. I'm not here for your money. I'm not here for me to oppress you. I'm not here to take advantage of you. I would like to help you as much as I can, but I also don't want to spread myself too thin and get myself in trouble. But I'm pretty sure because we are well intended that God will take care of it, because that's where God truly is those that want to do good and they do good in the world. That's where you see God's support, and there's where God, light of God truly shines through those people. Now, God is also telling us that some people understand this, and then they understand that usury is bad, but this was their means of making money. So they quit for a little bit, and if you were making money from usury, and then you quit and you understood God's admonition or God's lecture in regards to this, then you quit, then that money was yours and you don't have to worry about it. God is going to deal with you on a day of judgment in a way where you were ignorant. But if you go back, God is telling you something that is very scary. He says that if you are going to consume this usury, then there's going to be a war between you and God and his messenger. And whoever wants to have a war with God, it's not like always a asteroid's going to come hit you or you're going to be struck by lightning. God can attack you over a long extended time where any action you do, it will eventually fall on top of you. That whenever you find a door that you're about to exit from, that door, the door quickly closes and you're in trouble. That any maneuver that you make and you think that you are doing something positive, it crumbles right in front of you, where you are not even able to succeed because all you do is keep consuming this interest and you're just eating fire in your stomach. This is not helpful to anybody, not even to yourself. But unfortunately, people who walk down these paths and they think that it's legal, they become so blind that they don't realize how difficult their life is. It's like somebody with a constant pressure on their neck, this constant pain on their neck, that they learned how to live with this pain. And they think that this is who they are. They know there's a pain, but I have a pain in my neck. I have a pain in my neck. But they forgot how it feels when the pain was not there. That ease, that comfort. A lot of us are actually going through some pains. I'm not saying because we're consuming usury, just in general. There's this pain that a lot of us are having to endure because we forgot how it feels not to have said pain. And God is here telling us that there are some individuals that are undergoing a fight or a war with God because they are consuming usury, interest. And yes, that's majority of the banks that we see in this day and age. We see, and you're saying, well, they look like they're flourishing. They have money. God can increase you and give you money, not just because for you to have a good life, but rather so that on the day of judgment, you see how much of an oppressor you were. You had millions, hundreds of millions under your pocket, and you chose to collect more and you oppressed the world more. So instead of you having, let's assume, this amount of pain in hell, now your pain is that much because that's truly what you deserved. Because you kept wanting to increase, and here you go, you're increasing through your percentage that you keep charging people. But what'd you do with it? God allowed you. Isn't that how a war works? That you allow your enemy to make a mistake because he wants to be your enemy? He wants to try to stop the message of God by charging interest and usury. He wants to corrupt the society of God by doing those things. So you're an enemy to God and his messenger. And the God and his messenger are going to fight you. There is going to be a war between you. Now here messenger does not necessitate for it to be a human messenger. God and his messenger could be the angel. Because when God talks about God and his messenger later in the Quran, there's times where he mentions about those people who are writing everything that we're saying. God says God and his messenger in those moments as well. So here, anyone that is sitting in the position of a messenger can be used against those people who want to corrupt in the world. And sooner or later, those people are going to truly see what they're doing. Now, God is telling us that now that if you are making changes and you want to help people out and you want to stop charging interest, if you are a agent or a community or a system that does charge interest, and you found the truth that this is oppressive, this is destroying my society, I shouldn't be doing this. But then there are times for us to realize that if it's hard for us to remove or for that person, so if it's difficult for us to carry on with the loan because of this interest problem that we've created in the first place, God is telling us to like forego of it and give the person time until he's able to recover the funds. That is my principal amount, because that is my actual money. That is the wealth that I put in. But God is also saying that if we forego it and we allow the person just to keep the money, that's much better for you if you give it as a charity for those people. Because we already know that in this world, it seems like just a small percentage of the population, less than 2%, less than 1%, holds the majority of the wealth. So those individuals are able to, well, they are making a lot of the wealth through their interest and the gains of interest. But there is a way for you to realize that these people, if they open the floodgates and they allow the money to go through, none of us would be in the conditions that we are in, the majority of the world, I mean. There's a lot of people who are complaining to me that jobs are slow, the economy is broken, I don't have enough to eat, things are expensive, I can't buy a house, I can't have a car, I can't get a family, I'm having a lot of issues. But yet you see the ones that have money, they keep getting a lot richer. How are they getting richer? It's because it's just a transfer of wealth through means like of interest. Now God is telling us to truly guard ourselves against the day when we will be returned to him. And each soul is going to face in exactly what it was doing. God forgoes a lot of sin. God forgoes, and he's a forgiving God. That's why his name in Arabic is Ar-Rahman. It's very difficult to explain this word in English, but he is imbued with mercy. He is overtaken with mercy. God is so incredibly merciful that any issue that you caused, and God says it, even if you do shirk, even if you commit like idolatry or you associate to God, or if you murder, even if you did zina, those three, God can give you an option out. If you truly repented and you truly did what you can to fix it. God is extremely forgiving, but the human being isn't. But as long as you're good in God's book, no one can truly stop you. Because even if they remove you from earth or kill you or try to block you, if God's going to give you success, they can bring the whole world against you and you will find that success. And maybe sometimes your success is after you left, but these people don't truly bank on that. So keep working hard, keep doing your part. You know how your Lord views you to the best of your ability, and he knows best. And if there's an issue with you, God is telling you that issue for you to fix it. Sometimes he puts you in circumstances for you to realize that maybe you are in a war with God and his messenger, and you don't want to be in that position because it's a slow, excruciating, painful way of being eliminated. God is not always instant in his punishment, but yes, he is instant when it's becoming a collective punishment for a society that he wants to remove. But if it's on an individual basis, he will allow you to run the course that he gave you, your life. But you chose to be his enemy, and you don't want to be an enemy of God. So when it comes down to the concepts of usury, avoid it. Avoid it as much as you can. If you're not sure whether it involves usury or not, you shouldn't be part of it. I personally think that there's a lot of things that people do as investments nowadays that's just money making out of money and someone's being oppressed. Because if we put it in a pot and the pot goes higher and I take from the pot and the guy loses his money, well, who's the one who's actually producing anything at this point other than it's a weird Ponzi scheme? And my money is increasing just because someone else put money in his pot. This buy and sell concept. If there's no dividends, if there's no profits, if there's no margin sharing of whatever the company is producing, I truly believe at that point you just fell into interest. Making money off money just purely because you're trading money makes absolutely no sense. But yes, in our economy, they have made it a way to make it make sense, but it doesn't really make sense. Trading gold for gold to make more gold makes no sense. So with that said, I would truly hope you guys are appreciating this. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise to my Lord. All praise to the Lord of the worlds. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The peace and blessings of God upon you all.